In this video, we are going to look at our different sample methods again, but then talk about whether the sample might be biased or unbiased. So bias is an error that results in a misrepresentation of the population. So we have biased versus unbiased. An unbiased sample is representative of the population you want information about. Just going to shorten that a little bit for you with info. And then bias, and this is where you have to determine if this is happening, is either overrepresenting or underrepresenting part of the population. And usually it's both. It's going to overrepresent a portion of the population and underrepresent another. So that's kind of what we're going to look at when we decide if something is biased or not. And a lot of these are going to be biased. So look at it as if, okay, this is biased. And if I can't figure out why, then it probably is unbiased. But a lot of times it is. So first one, a town council wants to know whether residents support lower taxes for those who own waterfront property. 34 owners of waterfront property were surveyed. Now you can think about the reasons behind this, but the survey overrepresents waterfront property owners and underrepresents everyone else in that community. And if you think about it, when it overrepresents somebody, in this case, definitely the waterfront property owners would support lower taxes for themselves. But maybe people that don't own the waterfront property, that don't get that benefit, might not. You don't have to worry about making those determinations. You're just looking at, does it overrepresent a certain population and underrepresent another? And if you can come up with reasons why it also would be bad, then you can give that, but you should say the overrepresent or underrepresent. And this one is a convenience because the waterfront property owners are all probably located in a similar area. And it's not like a cluster because you would have to select every single one. It's just 34 of those waterfront property owners. Second one says a local radio station is considering switching from country music to classical music. Randomly throughout the day, it was announced the phone number and website where listeners can go to place their votes for either country music or classical. This is considered self-selected if we're talking about the type of sample, because they're going online to vote if they choose to. Again, this is biased because it overrepresents people listening to country music. And really, although some of them might like classical music, if they're listening to a country music station, they probably like country music and would prefer to keep it a country music station. Again, you don't have to say that. And you don't have to, I'm going to put in some of my answer keys overrepresents and underrepresents a different population, but you only really need to say one or the other. Okay. Now, those did say explain why the sample is biased, so read the directions closely because it might already tell you that information. In our second set, it says determine whether the sample is biased or not. Now, here's where you have some flexibility. If you can explain to me why you think something is not biased, or vice versa, and I might have a different answer, as long as your explanation is really good, then I could be swayed one direction or another, because sometimes there is a little flexibility in these answers. A local senator is proposing a bill to lower the limit on the number of lobsters that can be caught each day. Participants in a local fishing tournament are asked to complete a survey. Now, again, we're talking about some lobster fishing. It's not really fishing, but we're talking about catching lobster, which a fisherman might do. So we're going to a fishing tournament asking those people. You're overrepresenting fishermen and underrepresenting everybody else in the population, so this definitely would be biased. And again, a lot of times biased is the result for this. And most likely they're going to oppose a limit on something where they're bringing in income, especially if they are fishing for lobster. And our last one, a triathlon organizer wants to know if a Sunday morning triathlon is preferred over, Saturday morning is preferred over Sunday morning. The organizer randomly surveys 5 triathletes in one of the age groups. Again, also biased, because it overrepresents one age group while underrepresenting all the others. And someone in a younger age group might want to sleep in a little bit, while in an older age group, they might wake up earlier, or vice versa. So when only serving one group and overrepresenting an age group population, this would be considered biased. Right now that you're finished with the videos, you're going to be completing some practice and Google quiz assessment to go along with this information.